There we go. It's not too bad. Looks sort of weird on my end, but I think it'd be okay. Um, but yeah, back on the trampoline, here to talk about the movie for October 9th. Uh, Japanese horror movie called Re/Member, or just Remember. Um, I've talked about some foreign stuff before, and I feel like I always say, oh, if it's foreign, I'll recommend it just because, again, it's interesting just to kind of see the differences, I guess, between American horror and then horror from other places around the world. Um, but I think this is one that I wouldn't really recommend. I mean, I don't know. I guess like soft recommendation, right? Just kind of want to preface the video with that, I guess, because I mean, most of what I have to say is, this movie can be very fun, I think, but to me, it's just like so all over the place. I don't know. Uh, I guess I'll just kind of get into it, but I mean, the movie kind of starts with a kill, and that's supposed to be the kind of like catalyst event for like this curse, the curse of like the little red girl. Or like that's what the assumption is. Um, and that's fine. I feel like a lot of movies that have curses sort of start like that. They start with how the curse originated. Um, yeah, so this movie's no different in that regard. But I feel like it kind of takes a little too long for them to really explain what the curse is and kind of get into the lore of that. Because like the movie just kind of starts off like a what would you call it? Just almost just like a teen drama. We're kind of following around this girl and her school life, and then all of a sudden, her and like another group of students are just like zapped into like they're zapped into the school at night, but it seems almost like it's like a dream world sort of thing. Not everything that's going on there is happening in reality necessarily. Um, and I guess that's supported by them waking up every morning after the fact. Um, but I mean, again, like it just happens. And to me personally, that's a bit of a problem. Having like no real explanation for why things are happening. And I mean, you could do that earlier on, but it does need to be explained after the fact. And and at times they do try to explain a few things, but it's never really it's never really answers to the questions that I'm having. Um, and yeah, so they get zapped into the dream world, and they have to go around and like find the body parts of the red girl so they can get out. And they sort of learn that over time. Like their first few nights, they just kind of screw around and don't really accomplish much. But after they learn like a tiny bit about the lore, it's like, okay, well, I guess we'll just keep an eye out for these body parts so we can return them and get out of here. Again, that's fine. The establishment of rules, and now it gives the characters like a clear goal to chase. But again, they've set this up, and at this point in the movie, there's still no consequences. And that's another problem too. Having all this go down without any like real consequence to them like failing or anything necessarily. Uh, and again, like the consequences only show up later. I think after like a handful of nights, I want to say maybe closer to the closer to the third act of the movie. So like last like 40 minutes or so. That's when they finally establish like a certain consequence. It's like, oh well, if you get, because the weird thing is, it's always like the trope. It's like, oh, if you die in the game, die in real life, die in the dream world, die in real life, a la like Freddy Krueger or something like that, right? Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, in this, you can just die. Like it doesn't really matter because then you'll just wake up the next day and you'll live the day on repeat. And I mean, with that set up, that's when I really ask myself. It's like, okay, so what's the like what's the cost of failure, really? Just living the same day over and over again. At least you're alive, I guess. I mean, you're doomed to go over like horrific death after horrific death. But that's another thing too. It's like they don't even really seem that bothered by dying. Like it's just sort of a thing that happens to them, and they next day they kind of move past it. There's no like kind of trauma almost from dying all the time. So another weird thing, but I guess going back to the consequence stuff, I mean, like they established like a way later on because the creature of the movie kind of transforms into like a bigger creature, and then they say it's like, oh well, if you get eaten by the creature, then you can't come back the next day, like you get forgotten. Again, it's like too little, too late to have a consequence, and I mean, like they only really establish it so they can be like a low point in the movie, but then also just so the next night you can just start you know you can just start killing characters and make your audience a bit more invested because you're losing all these characters that you've been with the whole time and you really care about them, right? That's me being an asshole, because the characters are fine for the most part. Again, but it just seems like a more of a like a teen drama with horror elements. um, and that's fine. You can do that. And I mean, with like Japanese stuff, at least with like school related settings, like the only frame of reference I have is I guess anime when I used to watch anime. But like a lot of anime like takes place like in a school setting, and this just kind of feels like it. I mean, it probably was an anime if I had to take a guess. I don't know, like live action adaptation sort of thing. Um, But yeah, so there's another thing too where, I was saying that things just kind of happen in this movie, and things do just sort of happen in this movie. I remember just like watching a chunk of it, and they're finally getting to the part where like they're developing like a friendship with each other just because, they've been living the day over and over again and the night over and over again. So they start to become more familiar and friendly. Um, but again, it just like jump cuts, like them hanging out during the day, immediate cut to them like doing something at night, and not even like a cut to the night at the beginning, but like a cut to the night like in a random spot. um I don't know, not a fan of that. But again, with them just like cutting to stuff and it being like Japanese, I guess there's literally a fucking part in the movie where they just go to the beach for a little bit. I mean, by this point I get it. I get that they're friends. Like I get that, so you don't need a like a 10-minute scene of them at the beach necessarily. But I don't know, I guess it's not meant to be taken too seriously. It's like a bit like camp at that point. I don't know. But again, just like not really a fan of it. The things I am a fan of, though, I guess creature design. I'll say that creature design isn't too bad, and I would say I'm a fan of the effects and stuff. But um, like effects specifically, I'm talking about, I guess, like gore, kills, all that sort of thing. But a lot of the kills pretty basic, and this movie likes to show the kill about to happen and then cut away and have like a blood splash effect on the wall, or just like cut away and then like let you like assume things like from the noises, especially whenever like the creature turns big and like starts eating people. It'll never show the creature eating somebody, but it'll pan away a little bit and you'll just hear like the squelching noises of like somebody being eaten, which I guess kind of cool, but then it just sort of like hides the fact that you didn't want to like show it for whatever reason. Maybe it just didn't look good. Uh, but then like that's another thing too. Like the horror inside your mind is like a bit more powerful than like what they could show. But at the same time, I don't know, man. Like you've already gone through the effort of like making a pretty decent creature design. Might as well just like show it off, doing everything. Um, so to me personally, that's a bit lame, for them to just like cut away whenever like like the action is happening. Um, yeah, so there's that. But then I guess the last thing I'm even gonna bring up, really, another negative. And I mean, not the actor's fault or anything like that. I feel like it is just the way like Japanese people would write stuff. Uh, but and again, like relating it to anime, but everybody in this like acts too animated. Lots of just like monologue stuff, lots of just like small tropey things, like the nerd kid doing that every now and then. Just like hyper excited about things, but I mean, again, it's just like a Japanese school sort of thing, I guess, like just like a culture shock to me. And I mean, back then I feel like I found that quite charming, and even now I think an aspect to that like is charming, but in this movie it just really it just really annoyed me. It really got to me. um, Yeah, and then I guess like two more small things. Weird kissing scene where the I guess the girl's like kind of shocked that the guy even kissed her, and she doesn't kiss back, and it's like really awkward. It's like really fucking awkward. But like almost like leaning into comedy, almost, I guess, right? Um, and then, well, I guess two more things after that, right? Another thing is it does the it does the movie thing I don't like, and I've talked about it before, where they kind of hit you over the head with the themes, uh, because I guess at the end of it, it's a theme on loneliness. Uh, but like I don't know, it makes sense in the movie, and especially with the way they explain it, it's like okay, I guess like there is a connection between these people, like all of them feel lonely, so that's why they were brought together to do this. But then again, it's like going back to the rules. It's like, why does the creature choose lonely people? And how does that relate to the creature specifically? Because I mean, the only thing we really know about the creature is like she dies alone, I guess, right? She gets killed by some killer, but why go around haunting lonely people specifically? Like that isn't really established. Or again, maybe it is, but like I've just like the reason why I say like soft recommendation is because there's stuff to like about the movie, but for the most part, I'm just like so out of it a lot of the time. Uh, and again, it's kind of my fault, but I'm gonna blame the movie for not being very engaging at times. Again, just like a bunch of like small stuff like stacked on itself and wasn't really keeping me invested. Which sounds I don't know, like nitpicky maybe in some ways. But again, this is like all personal to me, and I mean, if it doesn't work for me, like that aspect of it is important, and I feel like I should convey that to the potential audience, or at least to myself, so I kind of know like the mindset I was in at the time. I don't know, because I mean, even movies I don't like, on a rare occasion, I might come back to them, and I mean, I might come back to this maybe, but at the same time, I don't know if I ever will, because like there's movies that have bits and pieces of a movie like this, kind of like a group working together to like solve something so they can like escape the monster. Uh, and I'd much rather watch those movies. Something that like blends genres a bit better, because I do feel like this is a few things, like obviously the horror stuff that happens at night, kind of like slice of life almost, just because it's like a Japanese school thing, and then light comedy, uh, or what's considered comedy, I guess. I guess just like smaller funny moments between the cast, right? Um, but again, like I just don't find those sorts of things attractive. Uh, or I guess it just wasn't really what I was expecting, and I was just shocked again by like how much it like jumps around, like tonally, and then also I guess just like in the movie, like they'll focus on one thing, one scene, and then the next scene they're like, okay, let's like change up the game plan, and they just kind of veer the movie in different directions very very quickly. Um, and then like certain information would come to light that's makes everything a character did like valid, just random stuff, again, just like not establishing rules and then like changing the rules as you go along. um, doesn't make for a very cohesive movie sometimes. But I guess that's like a large bit of all I wanted to say about this one. uh, Again, personally wouldn't recommend. I mean, I said I might go back to it, but most likely won't. I feel like this is one that I'll probably easily forget. Again, unfortunate, because that creature design is good, and I wish it was like utilized a bit more. To show kills and stuff, because I feel like that's like kind of part of it. Having like this big creature go around and like eat people. Kind of cool in concept, but it just isn't really executed in the movie the way I would like. Um, Yeah, so not recommend, but I mean, if you're just into like Japanese horror and like just want to see some stuff, uh, you know, give it a shot, I guess. Like, well, now you know about it, right? And I mean, it's on Netflix. I don't know how heavily it's advertised on Netflix, but a lot of people have Netflix. So if you want to give it a shot, give it a shot. But personally, I mean, wouldn't recommend it. Maybe if you had a drink or somebody to talk with while watching the movie, it's one of those, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, all that being said, take care.